Hey everybody, I'm Topher and I welcome you to the Blue Collar Beer Gentleman. I started this channel because I'm a fan of craft beer, but I'm also on a limited budget, so I'm always looking for the best deal for good quality beers that are made by smaller brewers. So, those of you who've been watching this channel for a while have been seeing me by myself, and this is now the second video in the new digs. And as you well may notice, I have pretty ladies with me again, and I will be saying that you'll probably be seeing a lot of the pretty ladies on here. There's a real shortage of women in the reviewing community. There's a shortage of women brewers. There's a shortage of brewers of color. Anybody who follows me on Twitter, follows me on Instagram, knows that I'm supportive of both of those things. I'm also supportive of the idea of women-led businesses. Those of you who watch Shark Tank know that Kevin O'Leary is Mr. Wonderful. He himself does not get involved in any business that doesn't have at least 60% women controlling the operation. So I'm going to be having ladies on here. One, because I think it's a good idea to have women, and I want to see more women in beer. And two, I have no problem putting pretty ladies on the camera. So the ladies that I have here today are my friends Heidi and Sarah. I'm going to shut up here for a second. I'm going to let them speak about themselves, list their Instagram handles, and tell you their experiences with beer. Then I'm going to explain the beer, go into some detail about the beer that we'll be drinking, and then we're going to split it. As I've said many times before, the best six-pack of beer ever is one shared with 5 friends. So anytime you've got a good beer, it's always best to share it. Ladies, go right ahead.
Thank you, Topher. I'm Sarah, Canna Queen 702 on Instagram. I have to agree with you on that last quote right there. The best six-pack is definitely shared with friends. My favorite six-pack is something light, something not too heavy, and actually I started off drinking cider beer, and that's one of my favorites. Heidi?
Hi, I'm Heidi. My Instagram is @FoxyDiva. I'm not a real big beer drinker. I do like something light, not too yeasty tasting if I'm gonna drink beer, but I'll sip on a good one if I can find one.
Very good. Well, today's beer is the Reboot 2020 Double West Coast IPA. I'm not quite entirely certain what specifically is supposed to be a West Coast IPA. I think it's using a specific hop profile that is only found here on the West Coast, but I noticed that there seems to be a very important distinction between Northeast and West Coast IPAs. This is part of Big Dog's Unleashed series. And Big Dogs is a local brewer. They've been here in Vegas, Heidi says she believes since '94, and I have no reason to doubt her. I know that they were here when I got here in, what was that, have been 2006, and they've been here ever since, even though they did change locations. This Double West Coast IPA has an 8.5 ABV. Typically, American Imperial IPAs come in between 7.5 and 10% on the ABV. I don't have an IBU count on this. There was not one available on the website either. Right now, and this video will be playing at the towards the end of August, but as we speak, in this first week of August, this beer is available at Big Dogs on tap. And the only explanation or description of it is that it's an Imperial IPA with Citra and Idaho 7 hops. There you go. There is no ranking of this beer on Beer Advocate. There is only one of my friends on Untappd has ranked this beer. That's my friend Tony. He gave it a 4.25. He also gave me this can, which is why I don't have a price point for him. Normally I like to list the cost of the beer. Don't have one. This was a gift. Among the other reviewing community on Untappd, 110 of us have given it a 3.97, coming in just shy of that 4.0 series, or that 4.0 score. So anyway, an Imperial should always be drank out of a tulip glass, and so I have a Teku and a Belgian glass. Those I'm going to be giving to the ladies, and I will be using the British pint glass, which flares out, the stout porter glass, which flares out slightly at the top, making it the most tulip-like of the others. And despite the Japanese name of the Teku glass, which we all love so very much, and probably you'll be needing to get more, just trying to see how this distributes across 3 glasses. Heidi's using the Teku glass. It's very popular. I just tweeted about it yesterday, and it seems to be the kind of the standard. Let's see. Does anybody? You need a little more.
Yes, definitely more.
I'm good. Give it to Sarah.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
I remember Big Dogs when I was growing up as well.
Uh-huh.
It was the place to go after work to watch the game, have a dog, have a beer.
Pretty good food there too, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. It's been around a long time.
All right, so what I normally do with the beer when I first get it is I like to give it a little swirl, I like to give it a little nucleation, let the air get to it, and then I usually give it a good sniff.
Great aroma.
What are you picking up? Any kind of notes of any specific notes of any kind?
Citrusy, a little bit.
Remember, there is no wrong answer, so whatever you smell is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's citrus. They used citra hops in this. Citra hops usually have a very citric kind of smell, sort of a grapefruity
Yes.
orange smell.
Orange.
I'm excited to try it.
The Idaho 7, I think, has almost like a. Is there? Are you catching anybody else catching a little bit of vanilla on the back end of the citrus? Like a mellowing of the citrus.
That's what I'm smelling.
And I think
Okay,
that might. I think it might be the Idaho
pinpoint
7
it.
hop.
I
But
couldn't pinpoint it.
all right, shall we dig in and
Yeah.
and drink? One more quick note before we do quick. I want to list this as probably a. I've got to say low carbonation, not particularly high carbonated, but it is an imperial beer, which doesn't usually happen. So, cheers, ladies. Nancy's going to go fix that for us. First impressions.
Definitely a light beer. Not too heavy. I could definitely see this as a sitting on the porch kind of
Porch beer.
Porch beer.
Even at an 8.5%, which is a rather high ABV, it's I'd say it's rather smooth. What would you say, Heidi?
Definitely.
Being a non-beer drinker, this is something I could definitely sip on. It's not too strong. It's not yeasty. Like, it's smooth. It's definitely smooth.
There's actually, at 8.5 ABV, there's almost no alcohol burn. I mean, there is just a little bit. There's a warming feeling in the very back of the throat. But as both of the ladies said, it is very smooth, and I think it's very smooth, particularly for that. Got a nice hop profile. It's not overly bitter. Now, oftentimes with the Imperial or in double IPAs, the hop profile does kind of get tamped down a bit because of such a high alcohol content. Typically, an American IPA would come in between 5.0 and 7.5 on the ABV scale. Budweiser comes in at 5.0, just to give you some idea
Okay.
of the alcohol content. American IPAs, so the story goes when the British were conquering the subcontinent of India, as they were bringing beer down around through Africa to bring it up into the Indian Ocean, the beer would spoil, and somebody got the idea of using hops as a preservative. So they started throwing hops into the beer, and by the time it got up the African coast and into India, the hops had given it an exceptionally bitter flavor. I would say you can taste the bitterness of the hop profile, and this is as bitter as you would expect an IPA. But is anybody like overwhelmed by the bitterness at all?
Definitely not, because I
No.
can't handle bitter
Yeah,
beers,
no.
and it just hits my palate just right and so smoothly.
Definitely.
Well, I think I'm going to be giving this beer, I think it deserves a 4.0. I'm going to give it that extra 0.25 that I normally give on Untapped because it came in a can. Those of you who watch this channel regularly know that I hashtag cans are better. Cans are better than bottles in a number of ways. So, anyway, until next time, I'm going to wish you well. I'm going to wish the ladies well, and let's see if they can actually finish these beers, or if they're just going to sip on them, or if they're going to gulp them down.
And no, I can't go.
Until next time, cheers.
Cheers. And thank you for having us.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.